Hi guys, so I just want to talk about a book I've recently just read called The Shallows by Nicholas Carr. Basically, it's about how the internet is changing the way we read, think and remember. Sorry if I'm looking away from the camera, it's just because I've written some notes down about what I'm going to say in the video. So basically, I wanted to link internet use to social anxiety. I found that heavy internet use makes my social anxiety a lot worse. I often spend hours on the internet, aimlessly browsing, just going on Facebook, Twitter, all these things, and in moderation I understand they're fine. Afterwards, I don't even remember what I did. I literally don't remember. It's like, it's just crazy. It's like I spend hours on the internet and there's no aim to it. It's pointless. It's passive. I'm just watching YouTube videos. You know what happens, you watch one YouTube video and then there's links on the side and then you watch the other one and another one, and it's like that on websites. You're reading something and then you see a link that looks interesting, so you stop reading what you're like the article you're looking at, so you don't even read the article, you go on to the next one, and then it just keeps happening. So yeah, so that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, a link to social anxiety. And then I want to talk about the book. Specifically, he splits the book into three things: how the internet is changing the way we read, think, and remember. Three things. Okay, so firstly, he talks about how the internet is changing the way we read. So if you notice, when you read something on the internet, you end up not actually reading how you'd read a physical book. Basically, what he says in the book is, when you read something on the internet, you read in an F shape. So for the first line you read fully, the second line you read about to the half, and then further down you literally read about 3 words. And then obviously that's not exactly how you read every single thing you read on the internet, but it's kind of that's the gist of it. Because when you're on the internet, you're constantly distracted by other things and the possibility of all it, because the internet is an amazing thing. And what the book is really good, because what Nicholas Carr is saying isn't that he hates the internet. He's saying our heavy use and reliance on the internet is a bad thing, not the internet itself. The internet itself is an amazing thing. I think it's a great leveler. Like, anyone can use the internet. Obviously you need an internet connection, but it's like it levels out, like, for example, like social barriers, you know, all these things, racial barriers, and like the fact that you can share stuff, like for example even this YouTube video that I can share is literally amazing. So I don't want to like detract away from how good the internet is, but it's just how you use it. And that's the main thing he talks about. And he says a really good quote, which is, distracted, when you use the internet, you're distracted from distraction by distraction. So you're constantly distracted, and ultimately, like, it's changing the way we think. And that's like the main premise of the book, because apparently, like, it can change your brain pathways. For example, when you use the internet, you're constantly being stimulated. So I'm just going to read what I wrote here. So he says, response and reward. So yeah, so like you click a link and that's the response, and then you're being rewarded by visual stimulation, like a video or something. And that constant sense of response and reward, that's what makes us constantly click on more links, and it gives you, like, I think it's serotonin or something, which is like this happy hormone or whatever, and it releases that buzz. And that's why when you use the internet, like, it does give you that buzz. But that's not a good thing, because you're constantly wanting more stimulation, and it stops you from just sitting down and focusing on one thing. There's some quite interesting stuff in there which maybe, I don't know if it's really true, but it's saying like how the internet can contribute to making us less empathetic. And I can kind of understand why, because like when I'm on the internet and someone tries to talk to me, like members of my family, I don't want to talk to them because I'm so focused on whatever I'm doing or whatever I'm watching, even though it's probably not even like interesting. So I can understand that probably does have some basis. Last 3 things he talks about, so it's read, think, and then memory. So basically what he's saying is, because there's an influx of competing messages, it's overloading our short-term memory, and this prevents anything going into our long-term memory. And this is like also linked in with the fact that we don't actually read, or we're not fully engaged in stuff when we're, like, for example, when we're watching videos, we're not fully engaged. We're constantly, like, I don't know, he says something really that hit the nail on the head. It's just this constant state of distraction. Like, even when I'm watching YouTube videos, I can't fully get into it. I just want to watch the next thing, even if it's interesting, and probably it's happening to you right now, even though I'm boring. But yeah, so I'll just read a bit of this book. He says, I began to notice that the net was exerting a much stronger and broader influence over me than my old standalone PC ever had. It wasn't just that I was spending so much time staring into a computer screen. The way my brain worked seemed to be changing. It was then I began worrying about my inability to pay attention to one thing, which I found, for more than a couple of minutes. It was hungry. Basically, that's the whole thing linked to stimulation. Wanting to be fed the way the net fed it, and the more it was fed, the hungrier it came. Even when I was away from my computer, I yearned to check email, click links, do some Googling. I wanted to be connected. Which is a good thing, because it's good to be connected, but when you're doing it too excessively, this is like a huge message he keeps reiterating in his book. He's not saying don't use the internet, and he's not undermining what the internet's done. It's changed the world. It's so amazing. But what he's saying is our constant use of it and our reliance on it. Not everyone. Some people use it like sparingly, and some people just are quite sensible with it. But I know for a fact, like for myself and for quite a lot of people, like my family, you kind of use it as a escape from reality, and I definitely think it makes my social anxiety worse when I have like a long stint on the internet, like 3 to 4 hours. I don't know what I've done. It hasn't made me any happier. It's just made me stop thinking for however many hours, because really when I'm on the internet I'm not actually thinking. Like, I think it's really good to actually have kind of like an aim or like a goal. So like, for example, when people watch TV shows, if they have like, it's okay if that's what they're going to do, so they just watch a TV show. If you just watch the internet all day, watch TV all day, you're not really like doing anything. So I think it's good to have an aim when you're on the internet. So it's okay to watch things, but as long as you don't just end up going down like the rabbit hole, which is of links, and keep going on different stuff. And it's going to happen anyway, that's the nature of the internet. But if you kind of try to be more aware of what you're doing when you're on the internet. And one really interesting thing which Nicholas Carr says is the internet is becoming our memory. So, like, I know, because I'm at uni at the moment, and I can't even be bothered to do the littlest of things. Like, I can't even bother to think. Like, if I need to know how to spell a word, I won't even stop and think, oh, actually, I do know how to spell it. I just needed a bit of time to think, oh, it's like this. I just immediately go on Google and like, okay, how do you spell this, or whatever, I write it in. And that's really bad, because I feel like it's making me dumber, and not everyone's like this. So again, I'm just talking about myself here. But basically I'm becoming really passive, and I'm just not doing things for myself. I'm not using my brain anymore. I'm using the internet as an extension of my brain. And like, he talks about how we are not using our memories anymore as much. We're just using the internet. How little things you'll notice when you think about it. You just rely on the internet for, and when you could actually do it yourself. You could actually add the sum in your brain, but you just are too lazy to, and your brain's relying on the internet. And the internet is a wealth of information. It's amazing. Like, honestly, I'm so glad I was born in the era of the internet. For example, YouTube is amazing, Twitter's amazing, Facebook not so much. I don't really like it, but it's really good. But it's just in moderation, which is like the main message of the book. and he talks about the frenziedness of technology, which is like how we're constantly glued to our smartphones, iPhones, iPads, all this stuff. And like, I'm trying to limit my use of my phone because I've got a smartphone and there's internet connection on that, and when I'm on the train I just end up like aimlessly going on the internet and going on Facebook. So I've tried to read now more, because I think it's better to read, or even just to look out the window and give your like eyes a break, give your brain a break, because your brain needs a break from the constant stimulation of the internet and technology. Also, I just want to talk about a couple of things which I find useful, which kind of limits my social anxiety a bit in relation to the internet. So I said, obviously, limit the number of hours you're actually using the internet for something like just browsing the internet aimlessly. I said, when on the internet, make a conscious effort to focus on one thing. I find this is really useful because I'm studying at uni at the moment. I'm doing my dissertation. By the way, it's going okay, so it's going a lot better than in what I was talking about in my last video. Starting is the hardest thing, honestly. Starting is the hardest thing you can do, and once you start, then that's like that you've overcome that, and that's the biggest hurdle to jump over. And once you've overcome that, it's okay. So whatever you do, you need to start, because if you don't start, then it's never going to happen. Yeah, when you're studying or writing an essay or whatever, keep the internet browser closed, or if you do need the internet to research, make a concerted effort to not go on random stuff like Facebook. And you know, when you're searching something in Wikipedia and then you suddenly end up searching like a celebrity, that's fine, everyone's human, you're going to end up like getting distracted, but just basically be more aware. What I've been doing is, when I've been doing my dissertation, I keep like taking breaks, and my break is a stint on Facebook or on Twitter, and that is probably not the best thing to do. It's probably better to just walk around uni for a bit and give my eyes a break, but I'm only human. I mean, think. Too often do we descend into a vegetative and passive state. Do something you love. Exercise, reading, studying. The internet is an escape from reality and is comforting, but you are living vicariously and not fully if you spend the rest of your life on the internet. It might be more painful to face reality, but you've got to be cruel to be kind, and it's better to face reality than to spend time pointlessly browsing on the internet and not getting any better. So I know it's really hard, and I know I spent hours on the internet just trying to forget all those painful thoughts, but it's better to just do something you like, even just reading. Just honestly, read this book. Read this book, it's really good.